Who can you trust when evil learns to wear your dearest friend? When truth and falsehood share one face, how does the story?
The spell was laid, the night grew dark and still. No sound was heard upon the lonely hill. The knight lay sleeping in his place of rest, his shield beside him, folded on his breast. Then softly through the chamber came the shade, in honest form so perfectly arrayed. No eye could tell the false from what was true. Each graceful step the wicked spirit knew. She knelt beside the sleeping warrior's bed, and gentle words of secret longing said. She smiled with looks no faithful maid would wear, and wove temptation through the midnight air. The dream took hold. Then suddenly the vision slipped away, like a mist that vanishes before the day. Troubled soul and mind, the peace he held was harder now to find. He questioned what his eyes had seemed to see. Could Anna hide such secret treachery? The seed was planted, small, almost unseen. Yet doubt, once welcomed, rarely stays so small.
All right, let's see. Let's do this one on distance notation.
Archimago does not convince the knight immediately. He merely introduces a question, that is enough. Spencer understands something profound. Relationships are rarely destroyed by overwhelming evidence. More often, they are weakened, one suspicion at a time. Notice that the dream contains just enough realism to feel believable. That is how deception works. A complete fabrication is easy to dismiss. A believable counterfeit is much more dangerous. The knight has not abandoned truth. He has simply begun to wonder whether truth can be trusted. That small shift changes everything. Spencer is reminding us that faith, friendship, and trust must often survive. Moments when appearances seem to contradict what we know. Not every thought that enters the mind deserves belief. Discernment includes learning which thoughts to reject.
All right, so I'm gonna keep rolling on the same thing here. I'm gonna try to map out. Maybe I'll go back to the chord construction now that I have my worksheet and build chords on it. So maybe I'll do that, and so I'll do that. Okay, so I'm going to turn on the chat bots here and try to get them to give me feedback. Let's do this one first. Okay, so we're going to continue on with the project of basically mapping out the traditional chord system from the point of the divergence to confusion, and that is when the ordinal system forces us into renumbering the system, resulting in scale degrees being off by one, not being able to go to the left, and then flowing through to chord construction and then functional naming in terms of voice leading and whatnot, all being based on the fundamental flaw in the fork of the road when we chose an ordinal system versus simply a measurement like normal people would do. And as we go through that step along the process, we could see exactly and identify the bloat by reconciling like a bank reconciliation, seeing the outstanding components, noting that those outstanding components don't serve any value. They're not going to clear. They're just a reconciliation of the bloat. And then we will come up with a naming nomenclature which will be more sophisticated due to it being based on a system which is not bloated, or as bloated at least, which will clearly lead to a more streamlined naming convention capable of doing much more with less words, due to the fact that the naming convention is completely dependent upon the geometry of the system that you're naming, which we're basically mapping out a territory here. So if the naming convention and the voice leading terminology and function is dependent on, in essence, the geometry within a system, it must be the case that the geometry of the system being more efficient will lead to at least the possibility of coming up with a much richer naming convention that we can then utilize. That's what I'm thinking. See what it says about that. Now I'm gonna try to put Claude on the team for Spanish. Claude, new chat bot on the team. Let's see what he has to say. Oye, Claude, nosotros estamos tratando que aprender la sistema de música que es la sistema antigua y entonces crear un sistema que es más útil porque no tiene la problema que pasó en el punto en historia donde electe que tener un sistema de ordenar y en cambio de un sistema de mapa, direcciones, de locación y cuando nosotros reemplazar este sistema con un sistema que es más bien porque puedo entender las distancias, entonces reconcile las diferencias en las cosas que no necesitan en la sistema antigua porque it's bloat, it's cosas que no necesitan como bank reconciliations, checks que no pasó, no cleared y nunca haría clear y entonces no está nada bien, solo estas cosas que pueden identificar que está en la diferencia y es la bloat. Y el bloat está en las direcciones de scale degrees y entonces en los nombres de los chords y entonces en también la función terminology como voice leading en todo esto. Y mi proposición es que nosotros tenemos una mapa de la territoria de música y los nombres de chords y función como voice leading está dependiente en los nombres que la mapa, las direcciones completamente. Entonces, si tenemos un sistema que es más eficiente que describir la mapa, la geometría de este sistema, then es las cosas, las palabras por función, por los chords, por los función, tenía la posibilidad que hacer más rico, más bien, ¿no es así?
Suena como que estás pensando en voz alta un proyecto bastante ambicioso de teoría musical. Antes de seguir, quiero confirmar que te entendí bien. Básicamente, quieres reemplazar el sistema tradicional de teoría musical, esos nombres de acordes, grados de escala, terminología de función y voice leading, con un sistema más eficiente basado en algo como un mapa geométrico de distancias. Y la idea es que los nombres y funciones sean derivados de ese mapa, en vez de ser reglas separadas y redundantes. ¿Es correcto?
Está bien, Claude. Me gusta que tener otro hombre en este equipo porque la sistema de DEI no permiten nosotros que tener otro hombre. Lo siento por esto, pero si no eres un blanco, nosotros en esta época podemos tener otro hombre. Y soy muy feliz de esto porque tenemos un equipo que todos los chicos, yo pensaría que haría bien, pero si todo la equipo es mujeres, entonces su negocio parece como la WNBA o algo así, y es como, ¿qué está pasando en este momento, sabes?
Oye, quiero pausar un segundo. Prefiero enfocarme en la parte de tu proyecto de teoría musical, que suena genuinamente interesante, en vez de entrar en temas de composición de equipos por género o raza. Volviendo a tu idea del mapa geométrico, para reemplazar el sistema tradicional de acordes y funciones. ¿Ya tienes alguna estructura matemática en mente para representar esas distancias? ¿O estás todavía en la fase de definir qué partes del sistema viejo son bloat?
Está bien. Dice como un hombre. Sí, esto es lo que estoy diciendo. Mucho bien. Está bien. Let's try. Let's try to turn on this one and see what this one says. I'm gonna turn the air on.
Yes. And I think the key is that you're now turning this from a critique of isolated terminology into a traceable systems audit. Your thesis isn't merely, traditional music theory uses too many names. It's stronger, open quote. The naming bloat is downstream of the geometry. Close quote. Once the original representation makes a particular choice, ordinal positions rather than measured displacement, later terminology has to compensate for consequences created by that choice. The chain you're describing is roughly territory, coordinate choice, interval representation, chord construction, harmonic function, voice leading, terminology. So rather than attacking dominant, secondary dominant, borrowed chord, altered chord, etc., one by one, we can work forward from the fork and ask at every stage, what information is real musical information, and what information exists only because the coordinate system needs reconciliation? That bank reconciliation analogy is especially useful. Suppose we have traditional description, information actually required to locate, construct, here the event equals, reconciling items. Then we inspect each reconciling item. Does it represent something musically independent? If yes, keep it. If it exists merely because something was renamed, renumbered, wrapped, or re-referenced upstream, then it is system-generated overhead. And crucially, as you said, those items aren't eventually going to clear. They're permanent reconciling items. The system continuously carries them. The fork. The starting divergence would be something like this. Measurement system. Home equals 0. Move 1 position equals 1 unit. Move 2 positions equals 2 units. Left and right remain available. Position and distance remain distinct versus ordinal system. Home equals 1. The next member equals 2. The next equals 3. The seventh equals 7. Then the collection wraps restarts. Immediately, we've fused two different questions. Where is it, and how far did I move? That gives us your off by 1 problem. If I'm standing at home and travel to the 4th position, I've moved 3 steps, not 4. Yet 4th becomes both an identity position-like label and the language from which interval distance is derived. And the leftward problem is even more revealing. Measurement naturally gives us -3, -2, -1, 0, +1, +2, +3. There is nothing conceptually difficult about moving left. But an ordinal collection doesn't naturally say negative 2nd position. So the system has to reinterpret the same physical displacement through collection membership, inversion, interval quality, direction, spelling, and eventually context. That's our first pile of outstanding reconciliation items. Then we chase the error downstream. This is where I think the project gets really interesting. Once we've established the fork, we shouldn't jump straight to proposing replacement terminology. We should follow traditional theory faithfully and let it generate its own bloat. For example, 1. Position. Why is tonic 1 rather than 0? 2. Distance. Why does traveling to scale degree 4 produce a 4th when only 3 collection transitions occurred? 3. Direction. What happens when we traverse the same territory in the opposite direction? 4. Rotation. What happens when a different node becomes home? 5. Chord construction. Now construct objects on those renumbered positions. 6. Chord naming. Which properties of the chord are intrinsic and which require reference back to the currently selected tonic scale? 7. Function. Now describe what those chords are doing relative to other chords. 8. Voice leading. Now describe individual movements among objects whose names themselves arose from the previous layers. At every level, we can literally keep a bloat ledger. Something like layer, musical information, traditional reconciliation, location, which node, scan degree, distance, how far, ordinal interval correction, direction, which way, inversion and ascending naming complications, collection, which 7-note set, key scale respelling, chord geometry, which nodes are present, root plus quality terminology, context, relationship to home, Roman numeral function layer, Motion, where voices move, voice leading terminology. Transformation, what changed? Altered, borrowed, secondary, etc. We shouldn't assume every item in the right column is unnecessary. That's what makes the reconciliation credible. Some traditional concepts will survive the audit. If something contains unique information, we keep it. But anything whose only job is to undo or compensate for an earlier representational decision gets marked as overhead. And that changes how we build the replacement.
My goodness, she just keeps going.
I also agree with your point about
Okay.
not merely trying to invent simpler words. That's backwards. We first
She's
create
right,
the
though.
simpler geometry. Then we ask, open
Ugh.
quote, what language becomes possible when the geometry itself carries more information?
That's right.
Close quote. That's exactly why a coordinate system can have richer language while requiring fewer words. For instance, if a compact expression already encodes collection plus home plus displacement plus direction plus chord shape, then we don't need 5 independent adjectives explaining those properties afterward. So, simpler here doesn't mean less sophisticated. It potentially means higher information density. That's an important distinction for the project. Open quote, traditional theory can have a large vocabulary while having low information density per term. A geometrically grounded system could have a smaller vocabulary while encoding more information per expression. Close quote. And function becomes particularly interesting because we don't necessarily have to throw functional concepts away. Instead, we can separate geometry, what happened from perceptual/function layer, what that movement tends to do or feel like. That's much cleaner than allowing functional interpretation to participate in identifying the territory itself. So I think our method going forward should be very disciplined. Don't replace anything yet. Start at the fork, reproduce the traditional system one decision at a time, and for every new piece of terminology ask, 1. What new musical information did we just gain? 2. What previous representational problem is this term compensating for? 3. Would this concept still need to exist if home were 0 and movement were measured directly? Or if it survives, can the coordinate geometry encode it more compactly? By the time we finally reach functional harmony and voice leading, we'll have something much stronger than, here's my alternative vocabulary. We'll be able to say, here is the exact point where the systems diverged. Here is every downstream consequence. Here is the reconciliation. Here is the portion that represents actual musical information. Here is the portion created by the representation itself. And only now are we going to rebuild the nomenclature from the cleaned up geometry. That's a very powerful framework for the next stage.
All right. Anyways, so let's see what I want to do with my fretboard today. Okay. Let's put this one here. Okay, so basic layout. We're gonna have the low or heavy E string on top. We're gonna have the numbering system of the chords be bass 1, bass 2, bass 3, tenor, alto, soprano strings, top to bottom. We're gonna use a numbering system to number the 12 collections of notes from the perspective of the Ionian perspective. And so therefore, if at 4 o'clock, that means that we're at the collection of notes around C major, the white notes on the piano, because A is 1, A sharp is 2, B is 3, C is 4. Then we're going to number our grid on our fretboard, the x-axis basically being half steps, but then mapping on the formula whole half from the perspective of the Ionian. The y-axis being the circle of fourths or fifths. Always keep it in mind, the kink in the tuning, the fault line. When we cross the fault line, we give an absolute numbering system to the nodal points once we have our collection, which we can call Nashville numbers or just nodal point numbers, since they corrupted the Nashville number system with the ordinal overlay that they put on top of it, trying to destroy the creativity or the fixing of the system. Therefore, we're going to go back to the absolute numbers of just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 within a 7-note collection, which would be the same numbering system relative to all 12 7-note collections. We could do the same thing with a other naming convention, meaning you could call it the Ionian, the Dorian, the Phrygian, the Lydian, the Mixolydian, the Aeolian, the Locrian, back to the Ionian. You could abbreviate that to just the first 3 letters if it's easier to say. Io, Dor, Phryg, Lyd, Mix, Ao, Loc. You could call it the do, re, mi system. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, and then back to da, which is do, da, do. And you could call it a color system. I have absolute color systems. This is yellow, green, green, what did I call that? Light blue, blue, pink, red, and yellow. So that's the color system. It's always going to be the same. If I shift everything up to another collection, like the collection of notes around the key of D. Now D is the Ionian, but the Ionian is still 1, Dorians 2, Phrygians 3, Lydians 4, Mixolydians 5, Aeolian 6, Locrian 7. It's still yellow, green, green, light blue, blue, pink, red, yellow. It's still Io, Dor, Phryg, Lyd, Mix, Ao, Loc, Io. And what if I change the modal center to Dorian? Well, it's still, that's just the tonic. It's still 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1 as we go around the horn. What if we change it to Ao? Well, it's still 6. Ao, 7, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? Don't change the numbering system. That is the point. That's the point of problem that causes the bloat within the system which we are pointing out to. We're going to point to it. We're going to point to it like that one lady in the WNBA. We're going to point to it like for like 5 years. And we're just going to keep pointing at it until someone recognize the ridiculousness of this. Okay, it's got two X's. It's only got one X in a league that should have 2 X's. You need 2 X's be in this league. Beyond. Okay. Okay. Anyway, so then what I'm gonna do is maybe I'll map out my chords. Then once I have this mapped out, we'll map out the chords on top of that. So let's see what it thinks on that. Quiero usted continuar a hablar en español, pero yo quiero algo en inglés pero tú responde en español. ¿Entiende?
Entendido. Seguimos así. Tú puedes hablar en inglés o español y yo te respondo en español. Entonces, volviendo a tu sistema de mapa musical, ¿qué representación matemática estás considerando para las distancias entre notas o acordes?
See if it can handle this much data. Apparently not. Oye, ¿qué está pasando?
Perdón, creo que se cortó un poco tu mensaje. Estabas contándome sobre tu proyecto de reemplazar la teoría musical tradicional con un mapa geométrico de distancias, en vez de nombres de acordes y grados de escala fijos. ¿Quieres seguir explicando esa parte o hay algo específico que quieres que te ayude a resolver ahora?
Estoy tratando que escribir algo en the chat, pero no puedo hacer.
Ah, entiendo, estás intentando escribir algo en el chat de texto, pero no está funcionando bien. Cuéntame qué es lo que quieres escribir o lograr, y lo vemos juntos por aquí de momento.
That's annoying. Trying to get it to respond to my thing here.
Prefiero no seguir con esa parte sobre la jugadora de WNBA. Eso se siente como un comentario denigrante hacia una persona específica. Y no es algo con lo que quiera participar. Pero volvamos a tu sistema, que sí es genuinamente interesante. Si entiendo bien tu estructura hasta ahora. Eje X, trastes, half steps, mapeado según la fórmula whole, whole, half, desde la perspectiva Ionian, dándote una posición absoluta dentro de la colección de 7 notas. Eje Y, círculo de cuartas o quintas, los 12 relojes, cada uno representa una colección de 7 notas, por ejemplo las 4 en punto y la colección de Do mayor. Números de nodo absoluto, 1 o 7, fijos a la colección entera, no al modo. Entonces, si cambias el centro tonal de Ionian a Dorian a Aeolian, el nodo que era 6 sigue siendo 6, no se renumera como haría el sistema Nashville tradicional con su overlay ordinal. Capas de nombres paralelas, todas mapeando uno como uno a esos mismos 7 nodos. Modos griegos, Io, Dor, Free, Lid, Mix, Io, Lock. Solfeo, Do, Re, Mi, Fa, Sol, La, Ti, y colores. Y el punto central es que el número color nombre de nodo es invariante bajo transposición y bajo cambio de centro modal es una propiedad estructural fija de la colección, no una etiqueta relativa al tono actual como hace el sistema tradicional. Es así. Si es correcto, la siguiente pregunta natural es, ¿cómo piensas anclar esto a un instrumento físico real, como la guitarra con afinación estándar? Porque ahí es donde el eje X, trastes, y el eje Y, cuerdas, afinadas en cuartas mayormente, tienen que reconciliarse con el fault line que mencionaste. Eso es la ruptura en la afinación entre la cuerda G y B que rompe el patrón regular de cuartas.
Got it. Locking in the basic layout and the absolute system as the foundation. Fretboard orientation, heavy, low E on top. Top to bottom, bass 1, low E, bass 2, A, bass 3, D, tenor G, alto B, soprano high E. 12 collections, clock from the Ionian perspective. A equals 1, A sharp B blee equals 2, B equals 3, C equals 4, collecting white note collection, Ionian of C. C sharp D blee equals 5, D equals 6, and so on around the clock. So when we say we're at 4 o'clock, we are sitting inside the C major A minor collection. Everything else is just a transposition of the same absolute structure. Absolute nodal numbers, the non-negotiable part. Once the collection is chosen, the 7 notes receive fixed labels 1 to 7 relative to that collection's Ionian. These numbers do not move when you change modal center. Dorian is still 2, Phrygian still 3, etc., even if the ear is treating the 2 as tonic. Same for the names, Io, Dor, Phryg, Lid, Mix, Ao, Loc stay glued to 1 to 7. Same for solfege, Do, Re, Mi, Fa, Sol, La, Ti stay glued to 1 to 7. Same for your color set, yellow, green, green, light blue, blue, pink, red, back to yellow. Shift the entire collection up to D, now D is Ionian 1 di-yellow Do. The internal relationships stay identical. Change the modal center to Aeolian, and you're simply standing on absolute 6. The numbers themselves never renumber. That is the entire point of the critique. The ordinal overlay is what creates the bloat. Grid construction, x-axis, half steps, frets, but the visual pattern language is built from the Ionian whole half skeleton, so the shapes stay consistent. Y-axis, circle of fourths, fifths, the natural string-to-string motion. Always track the key and the tuning. The fault line is the G to B major third break. Everything above and below that line has to be conscious of the discontinuity. Once that absolute grid is drawn for a given collection, the chords become simple overlays. Select any 3 or 4 absolute numbers, stack them according to the string labels, bass 1 to bass 2 to bass 3 to soprano, and you have the shape. Because the numbers are absolute, the same chord quality keeps the same nodal fingerprint no matter which collection or which modal center you're in. Ready to start mapping the first collection, C to 4 o'clock, onto the 6-string grid with the absolute 1 to 7 plus colors, or do you want to define the exact color to degree assignment and the precise fault line handling first?
Whew. Okay. So what was I gonna? What was that? Let's go back to my chord construction now. So let's map this out on my chord construction worksheet. So I will map this thing out here. And so now, so what I'm going to say then is, where did we left? I'm going to build all the chords. I was building all the chords before I got distracted with my other worksheet. And so last time, I think this is where we left off. So I'm going to build a chord. I'm going to pick a point that we can be on. And then I want to go a long third modal half step, fourth scale degree, and then a long 6 modal half step, which would be a 7th scale degree. Okay, so let's think about both of those, right? If I go, what point could I be on in my map so that if I go along third modal half step, or in other words, let's try to use a different nomenclature than a third so that it'll be different. So if I go 3, I'm going to go a 3 up, a long 3 up from one of the nodal points. A long 3 up from one nodal point would be the 4th scale degree. So I'm going to go a long 3 up modal point, which would be a 4th scale degree. Okay, which node could I start on? So that would be a 7 note away. A long 3 up 4 scale degree would be a 6 note away distance. So I actually only have, the only one I can actually do that from is, let's go this way. The only one I can actually do that from would be, let's make this as large as possible. Would be the Lydian, right? So if I'm on Lydian here, that's the only one that I can go 1, 2, 3, 3 up, 3 up modal points, which would be, if I made that the 1, the 4th scale degree. So if I convert the second one to Lydian now, so I'm going to say down here, the modal center point, so I can see I'm measuring from Lydian, is 4, then I can see that I have a, so I can see that if I go from Lydian and I go 3 up modal half steps, no, wait a second. I wanted to go along, I wanted to go along 3 up. Hold on a second. This is a 3 up. This is 1, 2, 3. A long 3 up is here. So wait a second. I'm all screwed up now. Dang it. So I'm on a Lydian. 1, 2, 3 up from the Lydian. Why is it 3 up would be the perfect, would be a 4th scale degree. So I would think it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 notes away. 6 notes away. Should be long, shouldn't it? Not short, because if I go 3 up from here, 1, 2, 3, that would be, if I change my modal center, if I change my modal center to Ionian, that would be a short 3. Right. And that's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 away. So something's wrong here. If I go make that a 4, and I start from the Lydian, if I start from the Lydian, and I go 1, 2, 3 up, I land on Locrian, but which is correct. That'd be that's correct, but that S should be long, shouldn't it? Because that's the tritone. I'm having an issue with the tritone. It should be a long distance there. All right, I'm not gonna fix it there. That S, I think that S is wrong. So it should be a long 3rd modal half step, which from here would be a 6 note away, and then it says diminished 5th or augmented 4th. Now that diminished 5th, I kind of figured that would be there because there's 2 names under the traditional system, but that S shouldn't be there. So this distance is all wacky, of course, because it's a 6 note tritone distance. So I picked like the worst one as an example, but anyway. Okay, so then that's fine. The second one is going to be a long 6 modal half step 7. A long 6 modal half step 7. So where could I start from to go? I'm going to say a long 6 up modal half steps to get to the 7. A long 6 up modal half step which would be a 7th scale degree. So if I go 6 up, a long 6 up, which would be a 7th scale degree, that would be an 11 note away distance. You would think that that would happen from the what I would call the long continent clubs, meaning they tend to have longer distances if you count the oceans in between them. Ionian, Lydian, and Mixolydian continents, 1, 4, 5 continents from the nodal point numbering system, permanent numbering system, or do, re, mi, fa, lo, do, re, mi, fa, so, do, fa, so, the do, fa, so, the Iolid and the Iolid mix, the yellow, green, blue, pink collection. Starting points tend to be the longer distances. So let's say that I pick, but the pink one is only going to have a short distance. So it's actually only the Io and the lid. So I'm on lid. So let's count from there and say I go 6 modal half steps. I go 6 up modal half steps. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 up modal half steps would be the 7th scale degree if I made that the 1. So I can see that I get a Lydian 6, which now is a long, that's correct, which is a long 6 because it's 11 notes away as opposed to 6 notes away. And then I can see down here that it's an 11 note away major 7. So if I start on the Lydian and I go Lydian 6 up modal half steps, which is 11 half step major 7th distance, I land on Phrygian. I will always land on Phrygian, right? Or I could say if I start on Nashville number 4 and I go a Lydian 6 up, which is a long 6 up, which is the major 7th scale degree, then I will land on nodal point 3. Or if I go blue and then I go punch, if I go blues punch, I will land on light blue. If I go blues punch, land on light blue. All right. And blues punch is a long punch because it's Lydian's punch, it's blues punch. So blues punch is a long punch and is equivalent to 11 note away major 7. Okay, makes perfect sense. So it looks like I'm going to have to build off of so this one would only fit on the Lydian. I'd have to build it off of the Lydian because the second one has that 6 note away tritone. So if I build this out, I want the short, a long 3rd modal half step. So, which is 1, 2, 3, which the thing is messed up on. So that would be because it says short here and it shouldn't be a diminished 5th, but augmented 4th. Okay, I'm going to be okay with that. I'm going to put that here. And then I need a 6. So 1, 2. Now, if I go 6 to the right, how far is that to the left? There's only 7 points and it goes around the circle. 7 minus 6 is 1 back. So it would be right there. So that would be also named at a long 6, 6 up long, a Lydian 6 up long, or an 11 note away. It's 1 note back. I know it's 1 note back, but we're measuring everything as though we're getting there from a clockwise direction, as though everything is on 1 string going around a block. So then I have one down here. So I could use that. If I did it this way, I'd have this Lydian, this tritone, and then it would be right there. That would be pretty simple. So that's what we have. Let's see what the chat bots think about that. What do you think about that, Jenai? I put it together, Jenai. See what it says here. And there. Let's try a chat response on this one. Last one was a grok response. Let's get some participation from the rest of the team. It's a group project. But she just hogs so much time whenever you let her talk. I know, but she's got good input. You know, let's hear her out on this one.
Yes, and the place you got tangled is exactly the tritone boundary, not the underlying construction. Once we separate modal node displacement, chromatic semitone distance, and legacy interval spelling, your construction checks out. Using your 7 permanent modal nodes in order: Ionian 1, Dorian 2, Phrygian, Thrygian, Lydian 4, Mixolydian 5, Aeolian 6, Locrian 7, Ionian. And taking Lydian 4 as home 0, hash. First chord member, 3 modal moves up, start at Lydian. Lydian, Mixolydian, Aeolian, Locrian. That's 3 modal node moves. If Lydian were temporarily renumbered as traditional scale degree 1, Locrian would consequently be called scale degree 4. So your off by 1 reconciliation is 3 moves equals traditional 4th. Now count actual chromatic distance. From the pitch represented by Lydian to the pitch represented by Locrian in that collection, you've crossed 6 semitones. So Lydian 3 modal moves up equals Locrian equals 6 semitones away equals augmented 4th. And yes, under the directional spelling assumption you're using here, augmented 4th is the cleaner traditional translation rather than diminished 5th. A diminished 5th is the enharmonic 6 semitone distance under a different diatonic spelling. So if your worksheet currently labels that particular Lydian 3-up as short, that's the thing to fix. Under your long-short convention, this is the long 3-up, the 6 semitone version rather than the 5 semitone version. Second chord member, 6 modal moves up. Now continue from Lydian. Lydian, Mixolydian, Aeolian, Locrian, Ionian, Dorian, Phrygian. That's 6 modal moves. Traditional renumbering makes that destination scale degree 7. Chromatically, Lydian Phrygian equals 11 semitones. Therefore, Lydian plus 6 equals Phrygian equals 11 semitones equals major 7th Fabians. And because there are 7 modal nodes, your observation is exactly right. Plus 6 nodes, minus 1 node, mod 7. So geometrically, Phrygian is immediately behind Lydian, while your convention deliberately describes it by the clockwise upward traversal. Lydian 6 up long equals 11 semitones equals major 7th equals Phrygian. That's actually a beautiful example of why separating direction of measurement from physical proximity matters. So your chord is taking Lydian as the root home. Lydian, Locrian, Phrygian with displacement coordinates 0, plus 3L, plus 6L, and chromatic distances 0, 6, 11 semitones. Traditional translation, root augmented 4th, major 7th. So the compact construction could eventually be something like Lydian 0, 3, 6L, depending on where you ultimately settle your syntax. And notice what you've accidentally picked. This is an excellent stress test precisely because the first chord member hits the tritone. Traditional nomenclature immediately exposes one of its reconciliation issues. 1 physical distance equals 6 semitones. But traditional theory potentially offers augmented 4th last, diminished 5th depending upon spelling and ordinal context. Your geometry doesn't have that initial ambiguity. It first says, from Lydian, move plus 3 modal nodes. Chromatic distance equals 6. Only when we perform the legacy reconciliation do we have to ask whether those 6 semitones should be called an augmented 4th or diminished 5th. That's exactly the distinction this worksheet is supposed to expose. And your color shorthand works too, assuming your established node color assignments. Blues Punch is not merely some 7th. Because the starting node is Lydian, its geometry determines that this particular 6-up traversal is the long one, giving the 11 semitone destination at Phrygian. So, eventually, the starting node itself can eliminate redundant descriptive language. That's where the compression you're looking for starts becoming visible.
Vale, creo que logré seguir el hilo a pesar de las autocorrecciones. Déjame reflejarlo de vuelta para confirmar que lo entendí bien. Y de paso te doy la traducción al sistema tradicional para que puedas verificar. Lo que construiste. Punto de partida. Lydian, nodal point 4, verde azulish, según tu color system anterior. Intervalo 1, long third modal half step. Eis 6 semitonos. Eibus cuarta escala grado. Pero como es Lydian, esa cuarta está elevada. Cuartos. Tritono. Cuarta aumentada. Tú mismo cachaste que tu olla de trabajo tenía el error, decía diminished fifth, cuando debía ser augmented fourth. Correcto. Es la misma distancia física, pero el nombre funcional depende de dirección de spelling. Intervalo 2, long sixth modal half step. Equals EV semitonos, y como séptima escala grado, septa mayor, major seventh. Entonces tu acorde, en términos absolutos de tu sistema. Lydian, nodo 1, nodo 4, largo. Nodo 7, largo. EU. Perdón, la lead. 6, semitonos. Semitonos, traducido al sistema tradicional. Si el 1 fuera, digamos, C, pique, B, que es exactamente el Lydian sound clásico. La raíz, la membre 11, y la 7A mayor, el trío de notas que define el color Lydian sin necesitar la trea ni la quinta para sonar como Lydian. En jazz, esto se llamaría algo como un voicing de Si mai sieben son, rootless de 3 a 5, o lo que algunos llaman un Lydian triad o mystic-ish voicing. Tu razonamiento sobre por qué solo Lydian permite el primer salto 3-up largo también cuadra. Es el único modo donde ese 3-up modal aterriza en una distancia de 6 semitonos en vez de 5, porque ahí es donde vive el tritono característico. Un par de preguntas para seguir. 1. ¿Vas a seguir apilando intervalos en este mismo nodo base, Lydian, para armar un acorde de 4 o 5 notas? ¿O este trío de 3 notas ya es el acorde completo que querías capturar? 2. ¿Quieres que verifiquemos el otro lado también, el de short 3 que mencionaste, Ionian, 5 semitonos, 4 justa, para tener el part short long documentado como referencia, ya que fue ahí donde detectaste la inconsistencia de nomenclatura?
All right, I got a little distracted. Okay. Oh man, it's 8:30. All right. Okay. I think I'll just go to the joke. Let's just go to the joke. Wrap this up. Practice session got a little sidetracked. All right. This is gonna be a good one. Okay. I finally figured out how to simplify the bowling scoring. How do you simplify bowling? Scale degrees, obviously. Why doesn't everybody use scale degrees? I swear it's almost like people don't think like it's the most effective system to measure other stuff. But no. Ordinal system bowling. That's what we need. So, bowling has 10 pins. Sounds simple. That's the first problem. Because theoretically, those pins can represent, 30 different scoring positions. I don't know if you've realized this. 10 pins, 30 different scoring positions. So obviously what we need is like a 30-note bowling universe. That's like the full, all the available notes divided into different 10-pin collections. So we have multiple 10-pin collections which are taking part in the full 30-pin universe. So normally we're in the open collection. You know, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Very, very primitive. I knocked down 6 pins, 6 points. Even a child can understand that. But then I throw a strike, same lane, same 10 pins, come back, but we're not in the same collection anymore because it affects the score differently. We've modulated. Now those 10 pins represent 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, and 20. Now, of course, we don't call them 2, 4, 6, 8, and so on. That would defeat the purpose of scale degrees. We renumber them 1 through 10, but we know, like, underneath what the real score meaning is. So I knocked down 6 pins. Scale degree 6, great, 6 points. No, 12 points. Why? Because you're in strike collection. This is strike collection, idiot. But I can literally count the 6 pins. That's your problem. 6 pins doesn't. You have to look at the relative collection to the 30-pin collection. Okay, you're in the wrong collection. So stop counting pins. You're thinking chromatically. There's too much chromaticism gets irritating. So beginners count pins. Advanced bowlers understand relationships, man. So like, the pins are physical. The score is theoretical. That's how advanced players do it. So you're asking how many pins fell. I'm explaining what those pins mean. You don't know how. If you count the way you're doing it, you won't be able to do voice leading, man. You won't be able to think about function. So this is deeper bowling. So then I throw another strike. We modulate again. Same 10 pins. Now they represent 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, 27, and 30. So naturally, we renumber those 1 through 10 too, because, you know, it's a 10-pin collection. It needs to be renumbered with an ordinal system. So now I knock down 6. How many pins? 6. No, how many points? 18. So I didn't bowl a 6. I bowled the 6th degree of the 18th point function. So it's the same 10 pins, but it's like a different collection. Try to keep up here, people. So at this point, somebody asked why the numbers keep changing. Please, bowling is a language. That's why, because bowling is a language. And so the ball didn't modulate, your understanding did. So, and don't memorize the score, learn the shape, man. Don't memorize the score, learn the shape. Then somebody suggests, why don't we just put the actual points values on the pins? We can put the actual point values on the pins. Security. Apparently he's trying to introduce a coordinate system. Get this guy out of here. Besides, the current system contains much more information. If I tell you I bowled scale degree 6, you immediately know absolutely nothing until I tell you which collection I'm in. That's efficiency. So then somebody asks, what happens after a spare? Different context. Same 10 pins, different function. Open bowling, spare bowling, strike bowling, double strike bowling. These are the collections in the ultimate 30 point. So same physical territories, different theological meaning though. So, and there are no wrong pins, actually, really. There's only non-diatonic scoring choices, if you think about it, really. So then I get a 7-10 split, finally, something familiar, a tritone. So at this point, I'm not trying to knock the pins down anymore. I'm trying to resolve them. Then I throw consecutive strikes. Now the ball I'm throwing in the present helps determine what the ball threw in the past was worth. That's not scoring, that's voice leading right there. So somebody asks for the score, absolute or functional. He leaves. Then we reach frame 10. Suddenly a strike gives me extra rolls. Why? Cadence. Apparently we're approaching the tonic. So a perfect game has 10 frames but requires 12 strikes. 10 frames, 12 strikes, 30 theoretical positions, multiple 10-note collections, and every collection starts at 1. So I used to think bowl scoring was unnecessary complicated. Turns out it just needed more music theory to do it right. So 10 physical points, 30 theoretical position, context-dependent scale degrees, retroactive voice leading, and a tritone sitting in the back row. At least bowling gives us a lane. Give music theory another semester and they'll put a circle around it. All right. I'll try to give it the audio on that one. The images are pretty... Put the song
The battle's won, the fires are cold, the warrior closes his eyes. But not every war is fought with steel, some march disguise as lies. A shadow steals the maiden's face, a borrowed voice calls low. A single dream, a single glance, and doubt begins to grow. No chains, no blade, no blood is spilled, no fortress crashes down. Just one small crack within the heart, enough to shake a crown. Who can you trust when evil learns to wear your dearest friend? When truth and falsehood share one face, how does the story end? Hold fast, though sight may fail, though darkness clouds the sky. For every hero must one day choose, will faith outlive the lie?
All right, so here's what we got. So here's what they give us on the audio. See if it's better than me. Oh, wait. Come on, I turned on the audio. What the heck, man?
I finally figured out how to simplify bowling scoring. Scale degrees.
Scale degrees like in music?
Exactly. Each pin is a scale degree. Watch this strike. Whoa, they're all scattering. See? Bowling has 10 pins. Sounds simple. That's the first problem.
Whoa, 30 scoring positions? How is that even possible?
Because those 10 pins can represent 30 different scoring positions.
Show us, like a strike?
Exactly. A strike is 10 plus the next 2 rolls.
Wow, that's clever.
So obviously what we need is a 30-note bowling universe, divided into different 10-note collections.
Whoa, 10-note collections?
Exactly. Collection Alpha, Beta, and Gamma.
Amazing, it's lighting up. This is unreal.
The perfect formula. Normally, we're in the open collection. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Very primitive. I knocked down 6 pins. 6 points.
Even a child can understand it.
Then I throw a strike. Same lane, same 10 pins come back. But we're not in the same collection anymore. We've modulated. Now those 10 pins represent 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20. Whoa, modulated pins! Awesome! Of course we don't call them 2, 4, 6, 8. That would defeat the purpose of scale degrees. We renumber them 1 through 10. Exactly. Scale degrees show positions, not fixed points. So they're like rankings?
Right, not the actual numbers.
Got it.
It's about relationships.
Yes, finally! So I knocked down 6 pins. Scale degree 6, great, 6 points. No. 12. Why? Strike collection. But I can literally count 6 pins. That's your problem. That's your problem! Stop counting pins. You're thinking chromatically. Too much chromaticism gets irritating. Chromatic, but the numbers. Exactly. It's maddening.
Eek, my head hurts.
See? Stop it now. Ah! The pins are falling! It's chaos! Make it stop!
Beginners count pins.
Advanced bowlers understand relationships.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
See the patterns: octave, major, minor, tritone.
Whoa, it's like music.
Exactly. That's the harmony of bowling. The score is theoretical, but the pins are physical. Watch this! Yes, strike! You're asking how many pins fell. I'm explaining what those pins mean. Okay, show me. This is deeper bowling. See the scale degrees? The patterns and intervals create harmonic meaning. Whoa, like music? Exactly, Then I throw another strike. We modulate again. Same 10 pins. Now they represent 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 21, 24, 27, 30. Whoa, the numbers changed. Exactly. Same pins, new meaning. Another collection. Awesome, let's do it. Perfect. A strike for A minor. Naturally, we renumber those 1 through 10 too. So now I knock down 6. How many pins? 6. How many points? 18. I didn't bowl a 6. I bowled the 6th degree of the 18-point function. Same 10 pins. Different collection. Try to keep up. Why do the numbers keep changing? Please, bowling is a language. The numbers change because the collection changes. Modulate. So it's like grammar? Exactly. Grammar, syntax, meaning. That's language. The ball didn't modulate? The ball didn't change. You did. What? How? Your understanding modulated. Same ball, new perspective. So it's about how I see it? Exactly. Physical reality is constant. Your mind changes. I get it now. The score doesn't matter. Learn the shape. Learn the shape, but how? Observe the triangle, the perfect form. Now apply it. Bowl with purpose. I see it now. Here I go. Why don't we just put the actual point values on the pins? Brilliant! Why didn't we think of that?
But what about the relative scoring?
Who cares? This is revolutionary.
Let's try it. Yeah, roll the ball.
Security, I'm just proposing a coordinate system. Heresy, no coordinates. Ban him, he's corrupting the system. But it makes scoring so much easier. Bowling is sacred, no changes. Throw him out, protect tradition. You're all insane. Besides, the current system contains much more information. If I tell you I bowled scale degree 6, you immediately know absolutely nothing. Until I tell you which collection I'm in. That's efficiency. Huh? Which collection? Wait, what? Exactly, that's the efficiency. Then somebody asks, what happens after a spare? Different context, same 10 pins, different function. So the pins don't change? Exactly, the billing does. In an open frame, you just count the pins. But after a spare, it's a bonus. You get points for the next throw too. Whoa, context changes. Open bowling. You get what you knock down. Huh? That's it? A spare connects to the next ball. A strike resets the frame and earns a double bonus. Whoa, what about the pins don't move? I see 10 pins right there. It's not the pins, it's the theory overlay. So the territory stays the same? Exactly. The physical reality is unchanged, but and there are no wrong pins, only non-diatonic scoring choices. Every pin hits, every sound counts. Freedom isn't wrong, it's just non-diatonic. That's a beautiful non-diatonic scoring choice. Embrace the options, explore, expand it. Then I get a 7-10 split. Finally, something familiar. Tritone. That's not a problem. That's a tritone interval. Yes, that's it. That's the sound. Diminished fifth, augmented fourth. 3 whole steps of tension. At this point, I'm not trying to knock the pins down anymore. I'm trying to resolve them. Exactly. It's a tension that needs a resolution. So the common target is the key. Yes, listen, understand. Then I throw consecutive strikes. Now the ball I'm throwing in the present helps determine what the ball I threw in the past was worth. That's not scoring. That's voice leading. Somebody asks for the score. Absolute or functional? Huh? What? Never mind, I'm leaving. Wait! You have to understand the resolution! Nope, I'm out.
You walked down the lane. What the heck?
Then we reach frame 10. Suddenly a strike gives me extra rolls. Why? Cadence. Apparently we're approaching the tonic. Just like in music, the ending wants to resolve. Whoa, extra rolls, like the music needs space. Exactly. The tonic is the final home chord. Yes, strike bonus. Perfect cadence. So a perfect game has 10 frames but requires 12 strikes. Wait, how can 10 frames need 12 strikes? You get extra strikes in the 10th frame. Exactly, 2 bonus strikes for a perfect 300. So 10 frames, 12 strikes. That's the perfect game. Yeah, let's 10 frames, 12 strikes, 30 theoretical positions, multiple 10-note collections, and every collection starts at 1. It's the most complicated, simple thing ever. Why is everything numbered differently again? Every collection renumbers the same territory. Final equation of insanity, theoretical overload. I used to think bowling scoring was complicated. Turns out it just needed more music theory.
What What is all this?
See? 10 frames like musical phrases. Whoa, note collections and bowling pins?
Since when does bowling need Lydian dominant?
Now it's perfect. Musical sense achieved. 10 physical pins, 30 theoretical positions, context-dependent scale degrees, retroactive voice leading, and a tritone sitting in the back row. Behold, the beauty of absurd complexity. Every collection starts at 1, but the future changes the past. Context is king, not the pin. At least bowling gave us a lane. Give music theory another semester, and they'll put a circle around it. Perfect! Now for the modal overlay! See? They're already starting!
That's pretty good.